The following podcast contains explicit language because, frankly, I am tired of editing out Sonia's swearing. She cannot help it. It's a constant problem, and I'm just tired of dealing with it. So you've been warned.
Smith.
Here it comes.
Fuck you. This episode is brought to you by the letter B, because you can't spell bonitis without B. When you go to get insurance and you're rejected for having a pre-existing condition, your only regret will be having bonitis.
Houston, flight is go.
Mila, let's go. STM.
From Assignment X, Amalgamated Storytelling, and thesoniashow.com, it's The Dorking Out Show with Christopher Allen Smith and Sonia Mansfield.
Welcome to episode 80 of the Dorking Out podcast, a podcast for people who like to dork out about stories and the stories and culture that we love. That means movies and TV, books and podcasts, and everywhere else we find stories that interest us. This is the State of the Star Wars Universe edition. With me today is my co-host, Emmy Award-winning filmmaker and nerd author, Christopher Allen Smith.
And with me today is my co-host, professional writer and author of the Sonia Show blog, which is a blog about how she has been on this show for 80 episodes. Apparently, still doesn't
know the name of the show.
Still doesn't know the name of the show or the concept or anything. Sorry.
Welcome to Dorking Up.
Welcome.
Which I think is some sort of podcast for people who like podcasts about stuff.
Or welcome to Chris Mansplaining, a show that Sonia's on. Because he's making fun of how she tripped over one or two words and he's blowing it completely out of proportion. Actually, now that I think about it, that's probably the most accurate reading of what just happened. I'm sorry. I would like to apologize.
Here's the thing. He's not sorry, you guys.
Sorry, not sorry. Point is, what's the show about?
We are still high as an X-Wing fighter after seeing The Last Jedi, so now is a perfect time to talk about the state of the Star Wars universe. Our Lucasfilm expert, Raymond Scott Daigle.
Did you just say Dago?
I said Daigle.
Okay, sorry.
I was trying to massacre his name because that's like our running joke.
You did it.
I am so not a Lucasfilm expert.
Sure you are.
You are today.
You know where the break room is. That's expert enough for us.
Yeah.
All
So
right.
we're going to talk about all the random things about Star Wars and The Last Jedi that we didn't get to talk about in the last episode.
So we're gonna
and
talk
also
about,
like what's coming.
Yeah, mainly what's coming. We are going to be talking about the new trilogy, episode 9, and Scott is going to talk to us again about Rebels and the Clone Wars.
Damn straight.
This is his arena to do that. We're probably not going to be talking about the Phasma tie-in novel, because how frustrated would you be if you bought that novel, read that novel, and then went and watched this movie? Holy smokes.
I don't even know anything about it. Is it like a 50 Shades of Phasma?
I don't know.
Is it like erotic fan fiction? Is it...
I don't know.
Or is it like everything that happened to her leading up to?
Leading up to almost nothing happening?
Yeah.
It's Captain Phasma After Dark.
Oh, man.
Excuse me, did one of you rebel scum order a pizza?
Has there been a less effective captain in popular culture since Captain Sobel in Band of Brothers, played by David Schwimmer, which is a great character, but everybody hated him and he screwed up all the time and nobody liked him. Is there a worse captain than Captain Sobel or Captain Phasma? Actually, you know what? We have plenty of episodes to do in 2018.
Yeah.
We will table that subject.
Okay.
Right.
I'm sorry to get us distracted. Scott.
Yes.
What do you think is going to happen in episode 9? Because one of the things we didn't touch on in our Last Jedi review for episode 8 is Rian Johnson kind of answered the question of Rey's parents, took care of Snoke, which if you haven't seen the movie, you probably shouldn't be listening to this episode anyway. I will just say that right now. There are going to be Star Wars spoilers in this episode.
When he says taken care of, you guys, he just means he's sleeping. He's sleeping.
It's true.
That's right.
He's resting.
All 4 pieces are sleeping.
He's resting.
What kind of problem does JJ Abrams have with
second.
episode 9?
And just say, I think the state of the Star Wars universe is strong.
Jesus.
100%. This thing is rolling along with more power and force than I think any of us 40 years later would have ever dared dream. Here's something to consider. That there is no other franchise or series of films, or just even films, that get released. Not even the Marvel films do this. There is a subset of the internet that shuts down the weekend or the week leading up to the weekend of, where people don't even want to go to the internet for fear that something's going to be spoiled for them. There's nothing else in our culture at the moment that warrants this sort of reverence for a piece of entertainment. It's amazing to me that this is happening.
I feel like I really try not to read reviews because I'm trying to see these movies the way I saw the original trilogy, which is knowing, like, I mean, you're just a kid. You don't read reviews or, there was no internet because I'm old. Right. And I'm trying to recreate that feeling of going in, like, not knowing as much as I can.
But you don't see anyone going, hey, I don't know, Spider-Man Homecoming's coming out. I am going to be dropping off the internet, everybody, so no spoilers. That doesn't happen.
Right.
But with Star Wars,
I heard Uncle Ben dies. Just saying.
Again. Well, he died in episode 4. So, well, actually, yeah. Let me ask this, or kind of refocus back to the question that apparently nobody's interested in answering.
No. We'll get to that.
How is JJ Abrams going to do episode 9? Because essentially, I mean, the themes are kind of, I don't want to say they're played out, but there was a lot of climaxes in this and final moments in this movie. It's almost like Rian Johnson did the work of the rest of the sequel trilogy in just this one movie. I don't feel like I need more of this Star Wars.
It's an interesting game of ping pong, right? JJ sets it all up and is like, I've got all these amazing things that are about to happen. And he passes the ball over, and Ryan's like, yeah, well, I'm crushing everything that you've set up. Back to you, JJ.
Yeah.
I'm gonna answer it, or I'm gonna make it irrelevant. Yeah. So have fun with your one movie, JJ.
Well, now it comes down to, like, Rey versus what's his face? Kylo Ren. Ben, Ben Kenobi.
Yeah.
Ben Solo.
It does come down to that, but I kind of feel like we got the climax of their story in this movie.
Well, no, they're going to have another face-off.
They are.
They are going to have another battle.
I'm not sure that with the interest, the level of complexity and the level of interest and the level of nuance that their face-off here had, I'm not sure. I don't know. I'm not sure I'm interested in them facing off again. I'm not.
What I want to see in the new movie is the entire galaxy come together and just say enough with this Empire First Order thing. I want to see a complete overthrown, and I want to see it just ground into the dust. No more Death Stars, no more Star Destroyers. You guys are done. And then we don't have to worry about that nonsense anymore.
Well, I think they laid the groundwork for, I know you're like, I don't want to see another face-off. I do. And I think now that we've seen what happens in Last Jedi, we're going to get more, there's going to be more emotional weight between the next face-off. Like, I'm not explaining it very well. When I saw the first Star Wars, A New Hope, there's the fight between Darth Vader and Ben Kenobi. And in the movie, the first time you see it, you're like, oh no, Ben Kenobi died. Like, it doesn't have the same power that it has after you've seen the prequels that a lot of people don't like. But even if you don't like them, like, it's added this other layer to the story that makes it more powerful to see that fight in Star Wars. And I think what Last Jedi has done has put more layers on what we're going to see in 9 when they face off again.
I hear what you're saying.
Okay.
I guess I'll be honest with you.
No.
I am
No.
I am
don't want to hear it.
I'm a little stressed that JJ Abrams is closing this trilogy out, because I don't think he's the level of storyteller that Rian Johnson is. I think he's a fantastic guy for setting up mysteries and setting up questions. He's not a guy that I think is really good with nuance or good with the lighter, more subtle touches of storytelling. And I'm worried. I mean, I don't think JJ Abrams has made a lot of good, fun movies. He has never made a great movie, I don't think. And given the level of problems, in a weird way, that he has handed JJ Abrams, I'm not sure JJ can pull this off. Hold on for a second. Scott, can you hear us?
Yes, I can.
Okay, for some reason your sound has gone down, or oh, weird. Now it's coming back.
Oh, it's because I'm not talking.
No. Okay, hold on for a second. But I don't know. Maybe I am a person that just lives in fear, and maybe that's the way it is.
Well, that is true.
Let's move on. Now that we've seen Rian Johnson deliver his vision of Star Wars, a vision of Star Wars that so charmed Kathleen Kennedy at Lucasfilm and the higher-ups at Disney that they have handed him a completely new trilogy to at least begin.
Wait,
yes.
Before we get into that, I want to ask, like, what do you think they're going to do with Carrie Fisher? I was kind of surprised they didn't try to, make it, I'm trying to word this properly, handle it, and that she didn't die in this movie.
Well, you know what? I have a question for you, Scott. As an editor, well, first of all, answer Sonia's question.
I think they're going to open. I think the next film opens with Leia's funeral.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
That's what I think is going to happen.
I think you're right. Something along those lines. But
then I'll cry again.
One of the things
pretty much every time she's on screen, I start crying.
One of the things I thought was interesting was watching this movie, because we had heard from this movie, we can't take her out of this movie. We're going to leave it as is. We're not going to touch it. We're not going to do anything. This is the movie. And this is a pretty huge spoiler for The Last Jedi, if you haven't already stopped listening, because I already spoiled the death of Snoke. But anyway, the point is, when I watched this movie, I thought that there was some moment near the end that was just, they couldn't have done it another way. But when I saw it, I realized, why didn't they just have Leia stay behind on the cruiser? Leia's the one that makes the sacrifice. She's done with death. She's done with watching those people die. She already has a capable commander in Laura Dern. Poe is going to learn his lesson.
Right.
He's got it.
Well,
Leia
they need that scene between
in.
Leia and Luke.
Right.
You need
You're
it.
right. That's
right. But they also didn't know that she was going to die. I mean, she completed filming.
No, I agree. But having completed filming, they had footage of her walking around. They could have easily. They even had even in the dialogue of Laura Dern saying goodbye to Carrie Fisher's Leia, that dialogue exchange could have worked poetically for Laura Dern steps onto the transport, Leia walks back to the bridge and takes care of it. They wouldn't have had to have Leia say anything on the bridge. She could have just turned the ship around, punched some keys, and it would have been one hell of a way for her to go out. And they wouldn't have had to shoot one extra foot. But you're right, we would have missed Luke and Leia seeing each other,
which I needed.
Which
I
wanted.
that too.
Which now that we've had this discussion, that answers my question. Thank
Indeed.
you. Thank you
You're
for
welcome.
answering the question.
The Han and Luke scene, so
Yeah.
at least we got the Luke and Leia scene.
You're right. Actually, wow, that would have been intensely frustrating if there had never been a Luke, a Luke and Han scene or a Luke and Leia scene.
Well, I was like waiting the whole movie for it. I was like, when are we going to get it?
Excuse me. All right, so now that we've seen Rian Johnson do his thing, how do we feel about him having a trilogy? The only thing that's been described so far is that it's going to be a corner of the Star Wars galaxy that has never been explored.
All for it.
What he doesn't seem to be really interested in Jedi. He doesn't seem to be interested in Sith.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think this is going to be? What is the idea that he has hatched and told Lucasfilm that has them so excited that they're patting him on the back and telling him to get going?
It's the new vein. And here's what he did in this film is he burned everything to the ground and said, we got to let the past go. And it's time for new frontiers. And here we go. Cause they can't keep this Skywalker thing going forever. It's
agree.
Barely holding together now. But that's just my opinion. I think he's going to go off and he's going to reinvent Star Wars and we're going to either love it or hate it. I think that's what he's dangling in front of them is a new direction somewhere, a new vein of the mind.
What do you think that vein is?
We have no idea. I have no idea. But I'm excited to find out. I'm excited to see what it is. After 40 years, yes, something new. Let's go and see what it is.
I'm super curious about it. Like it's they have a galaxy of stories they could tell.
Yes.
And like is it going to be like, hey, like I run a small business and this is how I'm fighting the Empire? Like, is it another story of like scrappy rebels fighting the Empire on the other side of the galaxy?
Oh, I hope not.
Or is it completely not related to the Empire at all? And no Jedis. And it's just, hey, like, here's some other space adventure
so here's
in
my
the same
question,
universe, but not related to the Empire or Jedi.
Here's my question then, is if you take out the Jedi and you take out the Empire and you take out the Sith and if you take out the Force, what makes it Star Wars? What's left that makes it a Star Wars?
Well,
that's the question.
Yeah, I know. I just asked it.
Yeah,
I know.
Yes, I'm aware of that.
That's the thing. I'm like, I don't know if it is. Like at that point, is it just Firefly?
Oh, God.
Which is fine. I like Firefly.
Wait a minute. Hold on. Stop. Wasn't Firefly made by 20th Century Fox?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, oh my God, they're retconning in Firefly into the Star Wars universe.
Everything that Patton Oswalt talked about in that famous clip on Parks and Recreation is happening.
You know what's funny is I just watched that a week ago because somebody posted it on Star Wars or something or the Marvel subreddit. And yes, every single thing in that is 100% that
he can see the future.
It was spectacular.
Yeah.
How all of that is in one thing. And yeah. All right. Sorry. So we've talked about.
I think we can all agree that Star Wars has to grow and it has to start growing new branches in some direction at some point. I don't know what it is that Ryan's going to do, but I'm excited to see what it is.
I am very excited to hear and see stories not connected to the Skywalker family. I don't know if I'm interested in Star Wars that doesn't have the Force and doesn't have Jedi.
Right.
Interesting. Is this where we talk about Rebels?
Well, actually, yeah, let's talk about Rebels. Because for anybody that hasn't
what
listened
you just said
Yeah.
is exactly what's going on in Rebels. And
As in there's no Jedi, right?
No.
No,
There's no Skywalker. It's a completely... Let me just preface this by saying, and I will fall on the sword or whatever, but as far as I am concerned, Star Wars Rebels is the most interesting thing happening right now in the Star Wars universe. And every successive season just continues to pound that in. in terms of the feel, what makes me feel like I'm watching Star Wars, and I'm talking like New Hope era Star Wars, is this show. And as far as I'm concerned, Dave Filoni and his crew are the true keepers of the flame over there at Lucasfilm in what Star Wars felt like to me as a 9-year-old kid. And this is a show that's made for 13-year-olds. But it's got the feel, it's got the essence of what made Star Wars great, and it's about this new group of characters that's helping to form the Rebel Alliance. There are Jedi, there are lightsabers, there is a conflict with the Empire, but the Skywalker story is stripped right out of it. And you learn to love and care about these new characters and what they're going through, and the ways that they relate to the Star Wars universe around them, the way that they've been able to bring Clone Wars threads that they hadn't really finished into that. They folded them in so well. They've reached back into the extended universe and said, yeah, that Thrawn guy, no, he's coming back to the canon world. The way that they folded him into the last season was wonderful. We're halfway through the 4th season, which will be the last one. We're just waiting for the last handful of episodes, but it has been a wonderful journey to experience, and I strongly encourage, if you're not watching Star Wars Rebels and claim to love Star Wars, you're doing it wrong.
How dare you?
I see how
there
it
is.
is.
This is why you have me
do
on the
you
show.
need to watch the Clone Wars first before you watch
It helps.
Rebels?
It
Okay.
helps, but it's not necessary.
Okay.
You can still watch Star Wars Rebels and enjoy it without. I mean, a couple quick internet searches will tell you what you need to know on Star Wars Wikipedia about certain characters. I mean, it's a fuller, richer experience having
Sure.
seen the Clone Wars, but the Clone Wars is not as bad. I mean, I think every year we're going to have this debate.
Well, you know what? It's
Come on,
funny.
no, Clone Wars is actually pretty good, and you guys are like, nah.
Well, no,
No,
I have
no,
heard,
I don't recall ever saying. "Meh."
No, I definitely said that. No, he's.
I did
referring to
not.
me. I've given that to him several
My
times.
I have
Like right now.
not watched it,
Bleh.
so I have never said. "Meh."
Here's what I'm thinking, because it's become
Clone Wars is free on Netflix until next year when Disney creates its behemoth streaming service,
I am
where
so
all the
excited for
Star
that
Wars
service.
and, by the way, a brand new Star Wars weekly television show.
Oh, that's right. How did we prepare for
Yes.
this segment without even thinking about that Star Wars?
I knew about
television
it.
show? You did know about it, and I knew
That's
about it,
why
but I
I'm
forgot
here.
about it. Sorry.
I'm here to talk about the state of Star Wars.
Okay, so here's what I'm going to do.
Somebody
then.
did their homework,
Here's
and
what I-
that person is Scott.
That's right. What I think is going to happen is I think I am going to do what you're suggesting, Scott. I am going to watch the Clone Wars, and I am going to watch Rebels, and it's going to happen in 2019. What I will do is I will watch Episode 1, Episode 2, Clone Wars, Episode 3, Rebels, Episode 4.
You've already seen the Clone Wars. As I will say again,
Huh?
the Clone Wars do not make the prequel films any better.
That's not what I heard.
No, it's not true. I never said that. The
Okay.
Clone Wars expands on the story that the prequels were trying to tell, and they give it a much bigger world, a bigger sandbox to go play in, because you can't tell the Clone Wars in 2 hours. There's lots of things that happen in the Clone Wars, and it's through this show that you really get an understanding of why the Jedi, as you said, became so pompous and arrogant and blind to what was going on around them, and why they were so easy for the pickings for Palpatine to come right up underneath them and walk in their midst, and they never saw it coming.
Right.
And you understand the tragedy of the Jedi so much. I think it's a very overlooked, disregarded show that deserves more attention for what it did. Yes, there are absolutely hideous Jar Jar and Droid episodes that should just be jettisoned directly from it.
I'm
But
gonna be
the
tapping
essence
your
the essence
expertise
is
to
there.
avoid those.
There's some really wonderful storytelling in Clone Wars, and what they did with Rebels just makes the Star Wars geek inside of me sing with joy when I'm watching it.
All right, so there have been rumors, maybe I'm reading the wrong corner of the internet, that Dave Filoni So they're shutting down Rebels.
Mm-hmm.
Dave Filoni, is my understanding, is that he has been wanting to move into live action filmmaking.
Mm-hmm.
Supposedly, he was closely watching Rian Johnson on the set of The Last Jedi.
Could do worse.
What do you think the chances are as they're closing down Rebels because he's going to go shoot one of these Star Wars standalone movies?
I don't have a problem with it. I think he's shown that he really understands Star Wars in a way that few newer breed Star Wars filmmakers really do. I think that he gets it. I think that he understands what makes it tick. And if he were, I would love to see him be in charge of the new live action Star Wars TV show that's going to be on the new Disney stream.
Oh, that's right. You know what? Now that you're
I would
saying
be down for that.
Now that you're saying that, I bet that's what he's doing. I bet that's where he's going.
Do you think it's like another like Rebels type show?
I don't know. I don't know. It may be
hope
something
not.
totally new. But again, yes, we need to branch out, bring it on. I'm ready to. I feel the same way, if not to cross-pollinate or anything, but I feel the same way about Star Trek. Let's see some new stuff. Let's just stop with the Kirk prequels, get out of there, and go back out into the universe and see some new. Do the next series after Voyager and just go new stuff. Let's just explore. And with Star Wars, we need to move away. All right, Skywalker was great. That's a chapter. Put them up on the bookshelf there, and let's go find some new stuff to do.
Agreed. You know what's interesting? So we've been talking for about 25 minutes now. There's a new Star Wars movie that's coming out in 6 months? Is it 6
let's
months?
talk about that for a moment. Yes. Because
Solo.
you know what
Oh yeah.
You know what
Oh yeah, that.
Exactly.
You know
We
what I
haven't-
didn't see when I went to Last Jedi?
You know what I didn't see when I went to see The Last Jedi?
I didn't see a trailer.
Neither
No.
did I.
That's bad.
That's concerning.
That is
So
concerning.
here's my question for any of you who might not be up to date on the drama that is going on with the second Star Wars story movie.
Yeah, those standalone. Smooth sailing on those things, baby.
Not really. But what's interesting is I really did like Rogue One.
I did
liked
too.
it a whole
Yeah,
lot.
I did too. Absolutely.
So I was, I'd heard all this about, Star Wars is very hard on their directors and they're firing them and they're this and that. And I was worried about Rogue One. It came out. It was great. So it's kind of like, I don't care how much drama they have as long as they put out good movies, whatever.
Right.
The word on the street is they were 2 weeks. Philip Lord and Chris Miller? Or do I have that right? Or
I think
maybe
so.
it's Lord and Miller. Anyway, they were 2 weeks from being finished shooting this movie.
Mm-hmm.
They get fired,
Right.
Because apparently, what Disney is seeing, or what Kathleen Kennedy is seeing it from their footage of Solo, which is a prequel centering on Han Solo's early years. They were so unhappy with it that they fired the directors, then turned around, hired Ron Howard, brought him in, and my understanding is that they have essentially reshot the movie from start to finish. That there is almost nothing left of the Lord and Miller version of Han Solo.
I would believe that.
This is still supposed to come out in May of 2018. Do I have that right? Can you please verify
They're
that
saying
for me?
May 25th.
May 25th.
They're saying it's now being directed by Ron Howard.
Right. Right. So it's May 25th.
Writers Lawrence
2018.
Kasdan and John Kasdan.
Right.
At this point, if they were going to move it back again, they would have. But at this point, they're locked in.
Now, are we in a Justice League situation? In that there came a point, I think it's pretty apparent, there came a point when Warner Brothers let Zack Snyder make his Justice League. It wasn't working out. They brought in a new director. The new director did what they could do. The movie was still pretty mediocre. And they just said, you know what? We can't push this. We can't wait another 6 months for Joss Whedon to smooth the rough edges out. We're just going to kick this out the door, take the hit, and move on. Are we in a situation where that's happening with Solo, where they're going to give us a movie on May 25th, no matter if it's ready or not?
No, I don't think so. Since we're talking about the state of Star Wars, I said it last year, I'll say it again. I think one of the last great decisions George Lucas made before he left was putting Kathleen Kennedy in charge of things.
Right.
She's a super whip cracker smart lady. And I think that I think it was a smart decision to grab Ron Howard and bring him in. He's an experienced director who he's worked in under the Lucasfilm umbrella before. I'm surprised that we haven't had a trailer yet. And to me, that sort of signals in the back of my head that there could be some trouble going on, but it could just be that they have just hunkered down and they are just trying to work their hardest. Trailer be damned. Everybody knows this movie's coming. We'll get something maybe in March. Remember when Jurassic Park came out and it was the biggest movie of all time and it came out in June? We didn't get a trailer for that thing until March.
Which Jurassic Park are you talking about?
The first one.
Back in the early 90s, back in 93?
I can't believe that we didn't get just a teaser trailer.
I can't believe that you could remember trailer dates from
March.
1993.
I think it's possible that they really are working their ass off on this thing because it's a very beloved character. They've got a lot rolling on it. I want to believe that everything is sort of rolling along as well as can be maintained behind the scenes. That's what I hope is happening.
I want to throw out a wild theory here that, because the rumors that we've heard is that the Lord and Miller's version of a Han Solo was very funny, or attempting to be very funny.
That does not surprise me.
Very, very humorous. The descriptions of Han Solo's character was some sort of Ace Ventura style take on the character.
Oh dear.
Which sounds cringy, but I think we're all adults here. We've seen situations before where explanations of what movies are going to be sound cringy, but then once you see them,
right,
they're perfect or they're fantastic or they're... Could we have had a situation here where essentially this would have been the Thor Ragnarok
no.
of the Star Wars series, and Kathleen Kennedy or the powers that be at Lucasfilm were just not having it?
I'll tell you what I think happened is that they had what was probably going to be the last Lawrence Kasdan script in their hands, and Kasdan went and took a look at what was happening and said, I am not happy with what they're doing to my script. And he has enough clout over there at Lucasfilm for Kathleen to say, all right, if you're not happy, I'm not happy. And went in and said, all right, we're scrubbing. We're bringing somebody else in to do this. We don't like the footage anyway. It seems plausible to me that it was more of a Kasdan decision.
You know what? Now that you're saying that does track with some of the rumors that I've, some of the scuttlebutt around, which is they were deviating from the script quite a bit with some improv. So yeah. I think you could be right.
When Lawrence hands you a Star Wars script, come on.
Well, exactly. Part of me is wondering is if it's true that they were trying to do improv that they had done on previous movies and everything. Mm-hmm. There are times to do, nobody cares if you improv a great movie with the Lego movie. It's the Lego movie. People expected it to suck, so the fact that it was a good movie was kind of a miracle. Having the guy that wrote Empire Strikes Back give you a script and then you're just going to wildcat it from there, I agree 100%.
Sonia, what do you think?
I think that's why they cast Donald Glover.
Oh.
Because he's funny.
Oh,
yeah.
That's an interesting...
Maybe he's the one that was just doing all the improv.
Oh, that's a very interesting take. Sonia Mansfield. That is interesting. That's okay, all right. So that's Solo. Have we heard anything about what this new Star Wars show is supposed to be about?
No. Only that it's only going to be available on the Disney streaming service.
And it's not going to be based on the video game. I just was looking that up because I know that there's the video game that people super love. It is not going to
Knights
be
of the Old Republic?
Yes.
Oh.
It's not going to be that.
Hold on.
or so they say.
Yes.
Okay.
What do you got?
I've heard the news that X is not going to be based on Knights of the Old Republic, and I thought that was the discussion around the Rian Johnson trilogy. Is that I thought he said this is not going to be based on Knights of the Old Republic.
That's what he said.
Oh, okay, all right. Well, what I was going to say is, I might if they're all so Knights of the Old Republic is not going to be Rian Johnson's trilogy,
Right.
and it's also not going to be this TV show.
I don't think so.
All right. Well,
Maybe I'm not reading this right
Okay.
because I'm just skimming through.
All right,
I'm doing
well,
my homework right on the spot.
This has been half-ass internet research. Has anybody
Not
ever
by
listened-
Scott.
That's right. Scott knows what he's talking about. I just listen to other podcasts.
I only appear
podcasts and
to know what I'm talking about.
That's right.
I don't know what I'm talking about at all.
I don't even go that far. So, all right. So that's episode 9. That's Rian Johnson's trilogy. That's Solo. That's Rebels, which I will watch along with the Clone Wars in 2019 in my ramp up to episode 9. I'm sorry, Scott. It looks like
Now,
that's
wait a
just
minute.
the way the schedule's going to come out.
Just for posterity, we should say, so on the date that we are recording this podcast, news broke that today was the day that JJ Abrams gave his big pitch to Lucasfilm on what the next thing is going to be. We don't know what that is yet, but it happened today.
That's true. So this is going to be very interesting when we read in the introduction to the Art of Episode 9 book, where JJ writes 3 paragraphs about the day he walked in and pitched them this idea.
And it's about how all these Jedis are trapped on an island, and it turns out they're in like a purgatory.
Well, you know what? He did put Luke on an island in a purgatory, now that you mention it. So, holy crap.
He's run out of ideas.
The Last Jedi was a remake of Lost!
And Lawrence Kasdan ain't coming back to help him for the next one.
Oh, God. Are you sure?
My understanding is that Kasdan said that he was going to help them with the Solo script. I think he and his son wrote it.
Yep.
And said, that's it, I'm done. I'm out. I'm hot again. I got to go out and make some movies.
All right. Well, maybe. We'll see. All right.
There is the dump truck full of money thing, they could pull.
Yeah. And that works.
How big?
It does work.
How
totally
big is
works.
that dump? Now that X-Men, now that everything at 20th Century Fox, now that James Cameron's Avatar series is going to be filling Disney's coffers, how big would that? That's like a semi-truck of money.
They're backing a Star Destroyer up to his house at this point, full of money.
Jesus. All right, Sonia Mansfield, Scott Daigle.
Yes.
Is there anything else that you want to say about the state of Star Wars?
Oh, yes, there is. As you should mention it.
Let's have it.
There is one more thing, and we haven't talked about the comic books yet. Because it's actually kind of nice that there are so many different ways that you can enjoy Star Wars at the moment. You can just do the films. You can do the TV shows. Rebels is a great way to go. You're going to have a TV show. You're going to have a whole new set of films. But you've also got the Star Wars comic books that Marvel which also Disney owns.
Because they own everything.
They do. Right. The new current crop of Star Wars comic books all take place between just after
Episode 4, right?
Yeah, they all take place just after Episode 4, and I have to, I grew up reading the original Marvel Comics series, and then they just ran out. Lucasfilm wouldn't let them do anything, so they just ended the series, and then Dark Horse picked it up. But this new crop of comic books they're nice, fun, light reading, and we've got a brand new character that's come out of them by the name of Dr. Aphra, who's become a real fan favorite. Has got her own comic book now. I don't, because I'm old, I certainly wouldn't tell anybody to go into a comic book store and try to buy the individual issues anymore, because it's just so time-consuming and expensive. I personally wait until they become collected, 5 or 6 comics at a time in a bound edition, which I get free from the library. But it's
Oh, you're one of
Nerd.
You're one of those
Yes,
people, huh?
yes, I am. I'm a
Nerd.
socialist. Sorry.
I like the library.
I use my public library, as all of us should.
Well, here's the thing: is I agree with you 100%. Public libraries are great. I'm happy that my taxpayer dollars pay for them, but I am still going to make fun of people who use them. I'm sorry.
Well, I use them to read Star Wars comic books, so there you go.
I do not make fun of people.
This has been Chris is an Asshole. Episode
80.
No, it's higher than that. It is much, much higher. This is episode 2433 of that show.
Oh, and there's also the new mini, the little Forces of Destiny cartoons that they've been putting out. That focus solely on the female characters in the Star Wars universe. There's lots of ways to enjoy Star Wars right now, which is why the Star Wars universe is incredibly strong and shows no sign of slowing down.
It just boggles the mind. I don't even know if 10-year-old Sonia could comprehend the Star Wars ification of everything.
Of entertainment. Well, let me ask you this. Would the 10-year-old Sonia have liked Forces of Destiny? Because I don't want to come up like some sort of
I don't even know anything about
sexist misanthrope, but holy smokes, I don't like those.
I don't even know anything about I've never seen it.
I don't like them. Scott,
No,
I'll have to watch
they're
it.
bad. They're bad.
Okay.
Okay, good.
They're bad.
How about you have young daughters, or what do they think of them?
They like My Little Pony.
All right. And on that note, is there anything else?
My Little Pony.
Because
I'm a good dad.
You are a good dad. You're a great dad. But there will be nothing beyond this My Little Pony discussion on our State of Star Wars episode. I appreciate it.
Star Wars.
That's great. So, Sonia Mansfield,
Yes.
is there anything else that you would like to say before we say goodbye?
I will just say porgs and
Scott
goodbye.
Daigle, is there anything else that you would like to say? I probably should have asked you first now that I think about it.
Rebels. Just watch Rebels.
All right. Sonia Mansfield.
Porgs!
Bye! The Dorking Out Show is on Twitter at Dorking Out Show, where you can also find me at Jet Juergens and Sonia at The Sonia Show.
And you can read all about my random adventures at my blog, thesoniashow.com, and track the slow, creeping process of Chris's novel and his other hijinks at jetjuergens.com.
Yeah, you know what? Go right over there right now and see how much is going on jetjuergens.com. Anyway, it'll be fun. It'll be like a trip back to 2016. Anyway, you can find out more about the Dorking Out Show at dorkingoutshow.com, and while you're over there, you can support us by giving us a review on Apple Podcasts. Please, for the love of God, for some reason, Apple Podcasts holds our destiny in their hands, so go over there and give us a rating, please. Sorry.
We would do it for you. We have a handy link on our website. It'll whisk you right over there so you can gush your love all over us.
This is disgusting.
It's disgusting.
Why did you write it like
I think
this, Sonia?
you
I
wrote it
didn't
like
write
that.
it like this. I don't like this.
We would gush love all over you and your podcast.
Yeah, we would do that. Anyway, point
Gushing.
is, I think we might be re-recording this here in a moment.
Gushing.
Jesus. What kind of podcast are you turning this into?
One that people will listen to.
This has been a presentation of Rocket Spots Media.